G'day and welcome to the Hunters Campfire Podcast. My name's Mark and along with good mate Ian, we're here to help with all things hunting. If you're looking to start but don't know where to begin, you want to make the most of your next trip away or even plan that hunt of a lifetime, we've got something for you. You'll find our podcasts on Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon and plenty of others. And if you want more, head over to our YouTube channel, The Hunters Campfire, where we have plenty of how-to and hunting videos along with the full video production of every podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and good hunting.
Evening, gents.
Hello, Jono.
Been a while.
It has been. I wasn't going to mention that, but now that's out there, so just going to use the magic of editing to like nothing ever happened.
I still feel like we're in the game, watching all the reruns of Cody's memes as they popped up after our conversation. I did enjoy that for a couple of weeks.
That was very good.
There was a good one. What about?
Oh, there was a great one about lures.
No, I like the one where Zach had him like a Pokemon, and he was upset because it was like podcast without Cody, and he was like this little crying Pokemon. I really like that one.
No, I like the one where he's putting Cody's head in all of the boxes, and he appeared.
Yeah, that was actually one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, there's been a couple.
I've enjoyed
a couple.
Yeah. Funny, those lures have got me some fish. That's all I wish.
Mm.
Oh, we did okay.
Oh, not as good as last year, but it was okay.
Yeah. Anyway, talk about Fraser another time. What else been going on? Mark, been up to much?
Well, I haven't been doing too much. I did get this, which is. Can you see that?
Yeah, the shotgun conservationist.
It's about this guy who is a vehement anti-hunter and who's become a hunter. And he argues that hunting is conservation, US based. It's an interesting read. It's not his style's a bit kind of clunky, but that's the writer and me coming through. But it's actually an interesting concept. So basically, he's arguing that, and it's a bit weird because he actually talks about how to. It's almost like he's written it for people like him who might want to try hunting. But his argument is that, ultimately, if you're the green movement should embrace hunters in terms from a conservationist point of view. So it's a nice message, or it's a good, strong message.
Well, it's interesting that they have such common views in so many aspects.
Yeah, he's kind of arguing that in many ways, they're almost if you kind of step back and logically looked at them, they would be the same.
Mm.
It's only the ideological, and he even talks about that. Like he didn't eat meat because of an ideological bent, not because he was allergic to meat or anything like that. It was all driven by perceptions about things and perceptions about hunting and perceptions about game meat and all those kind of things. So once you cut through all that, there's actually this remarkable similarity in what you're trying to do, and because hunters obviously want to preserve the environment because that's where they want to be. So, and it's that weird thing that we have here all the time, and I keep coming back to it about, if you want to kill deer, talk to hunters because that's what they do. So, it's a quite an interesting take on it. So, I've been enjoying it, reading it. I do it in fits and starts, but yeah, that's been my thing for the moment.
Was that also based in the US?
Yeah, it's a US based book. So
US based.
And so yes, it's a US based view of hunting, but then again, Aldo Lupo, that people love to quote, he's He came out of the US, so there's certainly linkages there more to how we engage with the environment. So that's
awesome.
that's been me for a while.
Awesome.
Well,
How about yourself, Ian? What do you?
Oh,
I was just going to say, I've been taking up my part-time job as a sheep farmer as often as possible. There's quite a bit going on here. Yes, I've been drafting off lambs that have been born. We've had a pretty good strike rate in terms of rams. So the ram's been producing pretty well, which is great. Anyone looking for a Christmas lamb, Ian at thehunterscampfire.net, you can contact me and I'll figure out how to get you some lamb. It'll cost you a lot of money, but that's okay. That'll help me feed my family. And there's a new hobby. Oh no, it's not free lamb. It's not free lamb. It's had 5-year-old cuddles as each lamb was born, so that increases the price by quite a lot. And I can show you that. And I had one running around with a GoPro on it for a while, so you can see the day in the life of the lamb that you murdered to put on your table for Christmas. It's just the way it goes around here on the Hurley Ranch. But we've got some new ladies coming to the ranch sometime in the short term. I think 2 weeks from now, there'll be, I don't know how many thousand honeybees showing up in my new beehive. Yeah.
From
Rowan, the good fella, has. It's actually quite interesting. Rowan came over to case the joint out, make sure that I had the appropriate place for honeybees to live, the right trees, the right water sources, the right locations, etc., etc. He brought his lovely girlfriend along with him, and we ended up trading a bottle-fed lamb for 2 beehives. Good trade.
Nice.
Which is good, really, because this bottle-fed lamb is driving me nuts. Because it doesn't think it's a lamb, it doesn't think it's a sheep, it thinks it's a dog.
Is it the one that you rescued from mum?
The one that we rescued a little while ago. Its mum died, and we bottle-fed it from, we had to rip it out of the birthing sac. It was pretty much dead on the ground, and it survived. And now it doesn't want to live with the peasant sheep. It wants to live with the dogs, and it demands its food at 4:30 in the morning. And Rowan, if you're listening, it's all good, mate. It'll be weaned by the time you pick it up. But anyway, that's the life of me, the farmer. I was just saying I was doing the vaxes and the drenches and all that sort of stuff, and injected half a syringe of B12 vitamins into my own hand, which was turned out okay. I've been
energizing.
Been full of energy for a couple of days. But that's what I do when I'm not fishing or hunting. It's been good. Looking forward to the bees.
Yeah.
Looking forward to the honey.
Well, if you buy one of my exorbitantly overpriced lambs for Christmas, it'll come with a free jar of honey.
Are you sweetening the deal, are you?
I'm sweetening the deal, Johnny. You got it.
Well, we do. We have greatly increased the meat consumption at this place, so I think we might be
able to haggle.
I'm still waiting for my lamb, so yeah, get in line.
Yeah, well, you got to buy one, and you can have one. The good thing is they come in all shapes and sizes because they're all different ages. But
I just want them to come cut, packaged.
You want it pre-packaged?
Yeah.
Once you can drop the whole thing, wool and everything.
I don't need any bottle feeding. I need
what
food.
You're saying is you want yours suffocated first.
I want mine processed, as in
food.
We can do that. I want mine ready to eat.
Fair enough. Well, anyway, lamb production, it's good.
And the chickens? You still got chickens?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. A little while ago, we talked about wing shooting. And my claim to fame was that I was given 10 or 12 chickens that included 9 roosters in the end. So I only got 3 chickens. And every other morning, not that I would tell my local council this because that'd be bad, but I'd carefully dispose with a 410 the next rooster that decided it wanted to wake me up at 4 o'clock in the morning and dropped it in the rubbish pickup. So we're down to 1, but he's reasonably quiet. I think we've scared him.
Yeah, negative reinforcement.
That's it. So anyway, the farm is good. It's productive. One step closer to self-sustainability.
Very cool.
Jono.
Not much. Still recovering from Fraser. Still finding sand everywhere.
Oh.
It's a week on Fraser, and there's sand coming out of every hole in the car and probably every hole in your body as well. It's a nightmare. I've washed the car I think 3 times. I washed the camper twice. washed my clothes, I washed everything, and I still find sand.
Yep.
So, but good trip, as you said. We'll cover that in a future episode, I think.
Yeah.
Still recovering.
Tip for those that are trying to get sand out of their car is get an orbital sander and put it on the carpet that you're vacuuming, because it bounces it all over the surface.
Yes.
It's a good one. And tell me, that product that you used on your car prior to, how good was it?
That was amazing. I actually forgot all about it until Hendo pointed out that. So I bought this, Mark, for your benefit. I bought this product that is called Salt Exterminator, and they do a salt wash, a salt seal, but they also do a chassis seal. And basically, you spray your chassis with it, and it dries. You don't see it. It doesn't leave like an oily residue or anything, and the sand doesn't stick to it. Yeah. We were sat there waiting for the fish to stop biting, and Hendo was like, "Why is there no sand on your chassis?"
When did you wash your car? Yeah.
And literally, the chassis was clean as there was no sand sticking to it, absolutely nothing. And then we compared it to Ian's, and his was just caked in it.
Yeah.
So that stuff worked a treat. And I came back and I washed the car, and I really had hardly any sand underneath the car. So I'm really, really impressed with that product.
Yeah, I got mine treated a couple of years ago. So the professional put up on the rack and they sprayed the whole lot out of it. Yeah. But and it's actually starting to flake off, because I can now see some of the writing on one of the shocks, because the guy, much to my dismay, painted over my pretty blue shocks with this black stuff. So just everything was black.
Yeah, well, this you just spray on, and it lasts a few weeks. And then
this thing's like
a product.
Yours is the anti-rust undercoat. It's almost like
it's a beach
spray almost.
It's a beach stuff. Yeah, it's not like the old peanut. It's not like the old peanut oil they used to use, which was super sticky. Of course, it worked. But this is, he actually does this as professional. I had some work done on the bull bar, and he said, "I'll spray the whole lot on there." So he went through, did the whole lot.
Oh, this stuff worked really well. Good. Did on the camper as well.
When we used to go over to Morton, the trick was you used to come home and you'd put one of those rainmaker sprinklers, and you stick it under the truck. You stick it under the truck and go to bed, and you come out the next morning, there's half a beach in your driveway.
Yeah, surprised there's any sand left on Fraser, the amount. But man, there was some chaos. Anyway, we'll keep Fraser for another day. And I've become a fanboy. If you haven't noticed on the socials, again, this just because you're going over to places that don't have any service, and we were down the rocks down at Champagne Pools, and the young fella cut his foot. Now we didn't need to push the go button on that thing, but the first aid kit that Zolio provided was invaluable. It was great. We both had one in the back of our cars, and people raved about its quality. So good to have it, wasn't it?
Oh, it was awesome. Yeah, and also being able to find camp in the dark. It was literally just...
Yeah, so the Zolio was great for that, just because you're running along, I don't know how many kilometres of beach going fishing and back, and you've got no idea where your camp is. You can't see it with your headlights or anything. But again, Zolio pin, you know exactly where you are. And you can do that with any normal GPS, of course, but to have that feature inbuilt in that is, really good.
Awesome.
So how did it work over at Norfolk?
Really well. Yeah, so hopped on the plane to Norfolk Island the other day. So Norfolk, for those that have never been there or don't understand it, doesn't have any Australian telco services on it. Norfolk has their own telecommunications company. Norfolk is part of Australia. You might have some people on Norfolk Island debate that, but if you go and have a look at all of the law that is associated with it, Norfolk is an outlying region of Australia. And it just hasn't been tucked into the mobile network by any of the carriers that are here. So when you go over there, you have to buy their local SIM card and either reject yours and plug it in, or you got a dual SIM phone and off you go. Now, it takes some time to get from the airport to where you're going, and you've got to expend that money. The Zolio, I just turned it on when I was getting off the plane, and by the time I got into the hangar through the queue, into the airport and through the queues, it had updated everything, and I was able to send text messages to my wife to let her know I was there, and she had my Zolio number, so I was in communication straight away. So that was great. It's not a device for syncing your emails and bits and pieces. You'll get to your hotel and do Wi-Fi for that, but I was in instant communication, which was excellent.
because I was really wondering what it's like, overseas.
Well,
I never
no
really
different.
thought. Yeah, because I mean,
No
you
different.
know, going to England, we just buy SIM cards, but why bother?
Well, it depends what you're doing. If you want to be making phone calls, then you need
No,
to do
because
that. If you want,
generally what
if
we
it's
do
just
is when we're over there, it's just to communicate with the relatives, and stuff like that, and it's always text messages anyway.
yeah,
It's just
It
text.
also depends on the volume though of messaging.
yeah, your subscription would count. Now, if you're communicating, this is for communicating back to Australia. Don't forget, it's
Mm.
not. It's going to cost you more money. I imagine. I haven't really think about it. The mobile number in the device is an Australian mobile number.
Mm.
I haven't ever looked at how much it costs to text an international mobile on your subscription.
Mm. That's my question.
Question for Zolia.
Yeah, the other question that we're going to put to Zolio, because it's come up a couple of times, is it's obviously a global satellite product. You can use it anywhere in the world. But if you hit the SOS button, in individual countries, what happens?
Mm.
In Australia, emergency response is something that the taxpayer funds. In New Zealand, it's the same. I don't know what it's like in South Africa, Jono, who pays. In the US, you can almost bet your balls. You hit that button, you're going to get a bill. But I'm curious as to what the individual things were, because it's been raised a couple of times now. So we'll figure that one out.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, you used to have to pay in Queensland. It was $200 if you called the ambulance. If you
Yeah,
didn't-
but now it's on one of your
there was
utilities.
that levy. If you didn't pay the levy, you got the $200 ambulance bill.
Geez, imagine what that'd be now. Be closer to $2,000, wouldn't it?
Yeah, no
It
idea.
went away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, it was good. It worked. It worked really well.
Yeah, okay.
Because when I was seeing that, I was thinking, hang on, is this a way around? Because is this a way around communicating when you're overseas?
Well, the way I do it now, most hotels you go to these days give you Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Your mobile in most countries will roam, so you can make a phone call if you need to. If you can hold off making that phone call until you get to your hotel, then Wi-Fi calling allows you to make phone calls back to your home country for free, or included in your current package. It's not a toll call. Wi-Fi calling is as if you were calling from your own lounge.
Mm.
You've got to have the appropriate phone to do that, and your carrier has to support it. But if you're using Telstra, then that's what works. They have a combination of Zolio for text, Wi-Fi calling back at your hotel or at the cafe, wherever it is you're getting Wi-Fi. And worst comes to worst, if you've got none of that, you can make a phone call through roaming. That kind of takes care of it without having to go and buy these expensive plans anymore.
Because we used to, last time we went, we did, Wi-Fi everything. And all we did was, before we went, was create a new email in Google, Gmail, because all of them, to get Wi-Fi, ask for your, so they can send your advertising. So there's an email account out there, whichever one that's to probably get hit by literally trillions of advertising spammy emails.
Yeah.
So that was it. I would just use that email, and it just loaded up with advertising. But we moved from place to place to just use Wi-Fi. So it was just a question. Obviously not. I don't mean when you're in remote locations, but just normally as normal travel and stuff like that.
Yep. It's been pretty versatile. One more bit of news that we didn't discuss talking about while we're here, but I'm going to raise it anyway and put the pressure on the world or us. Our website's going to launch.
Yes, it is.
Yes, very soon.
Our website is going to launch. By the time this goes out, you'll be able to go to www.thehunterscampfire.net.
That's it. That's the one.
And you'll get all sorts of fun things to look at. So the reason we've built the website is to again have a place that we can help share information. We get a lot of people asking about equipment that we use, where we get it from, all of that. So we've thrown up a page each that shows the gear that we use, the ammo that we use, the ammo associated to each rifle, what's in our packs, the game gear, everything that we carry when we go hunting is now going to be listed. It's got pictures and it's got links to places you can buy it. Some of it will be places, it'll go to the vendors, and others, this right down to, this is the game bag that I use from the butcher supply which is a handbag. We're not making money off it. We're just sending you to places so that you know where to buy it. So that's really good. A couple of other pages that we're going to throw up there. Some spotlight products. So if we're talking about things on our podcast, like we just have around the Zolio, you'll find that on the featured page. So it's just easier for you to navigate to it. And we'll have some pre-blooded gear up there sometime shortly, which is a whole bunch of things that we've used, still in great condition, that people are interested in buying. So we'll throw those up, and if you're interested, then you can get a reasonable bargain on some of that. So it's exciting. It's good to have it up there. You'll also be able to go to the latest videos. All of that sort of stuff will be promoted on the website. Just an easy place to go and have a look around. So be keen to see what you think, and go check it out. It's thehunterscampfire.net. It's live now, isn't it, fellas?
I know. I have no idea. It's just too weird.
Right now.
Too weird.
Right now. As soon as I find my credit card and put the money up. Our credit card. So that's exciting. We've had that in production for a little while.
Yeah,
any other news?
Very quick. I've just remembered. I'm getting some. You know those Spartan sticks, the real tall ones.
Oh, you're getting those, are you?
Yeah, I'm getting sent those for review.
Spartan sticks.
You know the Spartan, really nice bipods and tripods.
Yep.
You know the really long ones.
How long?
Really
the
long.
Spartan
like shooting sticks.
I think they're called.
They're like a really long shooting stick.
Yeah, but they convert to trekking poles. Those ones.
Yeah, I'm getting sent. I'm
ones.
getting sent some of those.
That'll be good. That'll be nice.
Yes.
That'll be very nice.
So I'm going to get sent. I think they're they're a longer version than this. I'm actually keen to see them, because I went through all my shooting sticks bipods that I've got, and I realised I've got a monopod, a bipod, a tripod, and 2 small bipods for rifles, and I don't use any of them. So I actually want to see if these things will convert me. So I'm very keen to see what they're like.
Yeah, I'll be keen. I think those are the Spartan Ascents.
No, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right. I can't think what it's called. I'll find it. Oh, your microphone's gone red.
He's muted himself. That's why.
Yeah, I just needed to move a piece of furniture around to put my feet up, be more comfortable. And tell us it's going to be a long one.
Okay.
So you're getting those. Do you have to hand them back, or are they going to end up on the pre-blooded gear page, Mark?
Yeah, there is a general, generally believe that this stuff goes back. It's not, it's generally, the held position that you send stuff back.
Yeah. Oh, there is another thing.
What's that?
The competition.
Which one?
One that we just spoke about.
All of the listeners
one we just spoke about. The one we literally just spoke about. We just made up. Sorry.
Okay. Do you want to lead off with that?
Okay.
I'll illustrate with things off my desk.
Okay. I didn't know this was going on here, so let's do this.
Yeah,
so we have, over the last few months and continue to this very day, get sent photos and stories of people having success when they're hunting. We've done a couple of Facebook posts about it. And the thing is, we really like seeing that stuff. We really like seeing.
It's really cool.
Here's my first deer. Here's my first pig. I've watched your YouTube channel. I listened to your podcast. I went to Nunley and I shot one. Here it is. Except there was one guy. He shot a pig and a deer, a red deer, on his first day.
A red deer.
Yeah.
Sorry, we don't remember your name. We did have a good conversation about it.
Prepare for disappointment because you came out of the gate really hard. So, yeah, he shot a nice pig and a red deer in Nundle. Was it Mitchell?
Maybe.
Sounds familiar.
Okay. I'm working on it.
You do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of reset the clock. So if you've already done that, we'd like you to resend it in with a picture of yourself and a picture of the animal and a little description. And we're going to start doing this in the next couple of days in October, and we're just going to go right through to Christmas. And at Christmas time, we're going to pull the names out of a hat. So this is not going to be about who's got the most likes and all that kind of stuff. We're just literally going to pull your name out of the hat, and if your name comes out, you get one of the Outdoor Edge. He's going to hold this up. For those people who listen and don't see the pictures, it's the Outdoor Edge game meat processing kit. So it's an 8-piece kit, comes in a hard blown form case, and it's got multiple types of knives, bone cutters, all sorts of really cool
Chest
stuff.
spreader.
What's
And the
unique
steel,
about this one?
What I think about that
We've
one,
given
'cause-
2 of these ones away already. One went to John Henderson for being part of the winning slam team. That was his prize. One went to somebody at the hunt camp. But the thing that's unique about this one is it's brand new.
Yes.
The last one we gave away had carved up a buffalo and a few deer, and we kind of put it through the dishwasher and repackaged it and gave it away. This one's new. That's the good thing.
Sealed.
Still sealed, look.
And what I really like about those is that steel and that stuff, because I had the one that came out of the Northern Territory, and it hadn't been cleaned for about 7 months, and there was not a blemish on that metal. And I thought, hey, considering where we were and what happened and all that stuff, that's a testament to the steel in those kits. So we're going to have one of those as a giveaway. So that's so keep
stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Keep your eye out. We'll put a post about it, and we're going to start the clock again. And we've also got a lot of other cool stuff to give away. We've got from Beam Communications their little small solar packs, so solar panel packs, like you carry in your backpack.
Recently featured on the Instagram page.
They got a really neat little one.
Love from Fraser.
And we've actually even got a whole Zoleo unit.
How good's this?
Which is
free Zoleo unit.
We've got a Zoleo unit, and Ian just keeps holding up stuff that seems we're going away. Yeah,
there's more. We've got another one of these, but we've already talked about that one.
Yeah, that's it.
And there's more stuff over here in the room.
There's a sheep in the corner there.
Maybe a chicken, a rooster.
That's all the updates.
That's it. Okay, we're updated up. Okay. What time is it?
Moving on. We've got a subject to talk about.
We better start talking about hunting.
We've got 2 subjects. One of them, the first one that I was going to pose to you fellas before we get into it, was, and I know a lot of us don't do too much hunting in summer because, well, it's a good time to go fishing. But what do you do to your gear, and what preparations do you go through when you transition from winter to summer hunting?
Yeah. Cool.
Jono. Question without
notice. Yeah, you put me on the spot, mate. Well, I changed my clothing. I go a lot more lightweight, a lot more breathable. In winter, I find I use slightly thicker, heavier clothing. I've actually got dedicated summer stuff that's a lot more breathable, a lot more lightweight, just hot. I tend to carry more water. That's the other big thing. So
do you change your hydration system, or are you just carrying more bottles?
No, I keep what I've got, but I'll add additional water to my pack. So my standard these days is exactly what you got in your hand, is a Yeti. I have that in the summer months. I'll carry that with electrolytes. In winter, I tend to just carry water in my backpack, but in the warmer months, I'll carry the Yeti with electrolytes. With the ice, what worked in the Territory is going to work up there. It's going to work for me in Queensland summer, in my view. Otherwise, I don't change much. I just add extra hydration and some lighter weight clothing. I still tend to keep longer clothing, so I like to wear. Actually, the other thing I'll add is a pair of lightweight gloves just for my hands. I find the top of my hands get really burnt in summer, and the skin gets a bit funny, so I like to wear a pair of lightweight gloves just on top. I don't like getting shit cut out of me, which happens a lot with bare skin. So, yeah, I like to wear lightweight gloves, lightweight clothing that's obviously protecting my skin, but otherwise I don't change it much.
You change your style of hunting? Are you chasing different animals? Are you still chasing deer?
I don't tend to chase much deer in summer. I probably hunt until about the end of October. The deer, just simply because the hinds, does are pretty pregnant by now.
Yep.
And by the end of October, they're pretty far along, and I don't like to shoot them when they're very heavily pregnant. I tend to leave them alone. If I'm going to hunt, I'll probably be hunting goats and pigs, probably looking more around water because the animals have got a drink, and usually around this time it's starting to get pretty dry, so the animals start getting concentrated around water. So I'll focus a lot around that, especially the pigs.
Very good. Anything else, Mark?
Yeah, pretty similar. I'll hunt deer all the way through though, especially in the Brisbane Valley. It's just that you tend to do, shorter squirts, as it were. So you start much earlier. Get to that point actually in the middle of summer. I'm often at the decision making: do I go up the night before and keep in the car? Because if you try to get up there before dawn, dawn's whatever,
It gets hard.
first light's 4 a.m. You're leaving home at 2 o'clock in the morning. You're thinking, should I just leave at 8 and sleep up there and be ready to go? That's one of the concerns, that the amount of daylight hours. Just I like to have it done and dusted by 10 o'clock, especially if I'm going to take meat, because you just want to be back as quick as you can. And then, do nothing through the day, or even just, if I'm successful, come home, just say, okay, if I'm not successful, then it's a fairly long wait till the afternoon and go out in the afternoon. Water becomes all important through summer. So, any water supply is worth keeping an eye on. In terms of gear, I've got, like, as Jono has, I've got mostly dedicated, seasonal gear. So I've got the really nice, dedicated hunting gear that I use down at Nundle and stuff like that during the cooler months. The stuff up for Queensland and New South Wales tends to be, it's heavier. It's not super lightweight gear. It is. I try to get lightweight gear, but you can't go too light, because things like burrs and all that stuff come into play. So it's a compromise. And I just think you just got to get hot. You're just going to be hot, so you might as well just not be scratched to pieces. So that's, and of course, then you get into things. There's also things in the grass, bites and stuff like that. And I don't just mean snakes. There's all sorts of things, burrs and insects and stuff like that. Having, being of Dutch origin, growing up in Brisbane in the 70s, where, no one owned a hat. I suffer from every year I go to get skin cancers cut out of me, so I tend to cover up right up. So neck wrap, gloves, the whole lot. So I wear a fair chunk of clothing. I just try and wear as light as possible and deal with the heat. Find that the neck wraps, whilst they're quite hot, they do stop you from getting that horrible burn. When you go into somewhere like the Pilliga, if you go in through, summer, like high summer, it gets up to 40 degrees plus down there, and it's dry heat, so it takes the energy out of you. So you really got to watch your hydration. I've had 2 times when I've been in the Pilliga where I've gone a bit too far. I've had and what I usually find is that I just go to sleep. Makes me go to sleep. Game animals, water becomes all important down there, because you're chasing goats and pigs, and they're animals that need a water. So, and there's a lot of game being shot out of the Pilliga at the moment. If you're listening and you want to have a good go at something, get to the Pilliga. Mate Simon went down there. Him, I think it was Nathan. They shot 22 goats in 3 days, and they could have shot 88 goats, and saw 20
Amazing.
pigs. Saw over 20 pigs. So a lot, and we're getting reports like that. And so there's lots of game getting around, and I reckon we've got another good 18 to 2 years of it. So get amongst it. But what will happen now is the water, as it becomes more and more scarce, it will concentrate animals more and more. So water becomes the all-important factor when you're down there. Those things goats somehow can live off any kind of pick, but they need a drink. They need water. So focus on the water. In terms of gear, I just try to carry as light as possible, because I'm not going to be out all day. I'm going to do squirts, so I'm going to try and have as less possible on my back, and have it back at the truck or back at the camp. In fact, when we usually do the Pilliga, that's what we'll do. We'll go out early morning, we'll hunt, we'll come back, we'll generally come around 11 o'clock or lunchtime, meet up again, spend a few hours doing nothing, and go out for the afternoon and do the same. And the animals tend to be early morning, late afternoon movement because it's just too hot during the day.
My only add to that is my last Pilliga trip was over the Christmas holidays, and it was searing hot. But pay really close attention to the weather forecast and the weather, because that's the storm season as well. And when those storms come and you're out there, you've got a really quick decision to either stay for quite some time or get the hell out, because it turns to quicksand so quickly. So that's my only other thing. I'm very similar in the gear, except my outer layers, especially my pants, are the same in summer and winter.
Yeah,
they just have thermals under them in winter, and then they're summer ones in the summer. They're all air mesh vented pants. And I've moved to a summer boot. When we went up to the territory, I bought a synthetic, lightweight, very comfortable pair of Keen boots, and it was the best thing I did for summer hunting, other than the fact that they only came in black. And if you rested in the sun, you ended up with burning feet. But just rest in the shade. That's okay. But yeah, don't get black boots for summer. But lightweight boots, that's been a big change for me. I use the same boots all year round, and I don't see the point in doing that anymore. So that's my change.
I don't change boots.
I do. I now do. I never used to.
Wonder why that was.
Now I have a specialty summer boot.
So we insert a picture of why.
The hole in Mark's foot.
The hole in Mark's foot. Yeah.
It's come back, mate. It's grown back.
Oh, the big thing for me on that actually is clean socks. I find
you got
clean pair of underwear, clean pair of socks every day. That's my I do. It makes a big difference.
There's no way. I don't change their socks.
So in winter that you don't do that? Is that why you just go, I'll stay in these jocks? I got a week out.
They start walking themselves.
No,
the funk scares the deer away.
I've got summer boots, and I've worn them last year, and they're fantastic because they're just like running shoes in terms of weight. But of course, the ones I've got absolutely no waterproofing whatsoever. So even in the morning, if you get a lot of dew, they get wet, but they'll dry out. But there's certainly a different kind of approach.
Well, the shoes I wore in the territory, they were a pair of hiking boots. The Gore-Tex breathable ones. I've worn those. They were fine in the territory. I've worn those in winter. They dry, they breathe, so they don't get too sweaty. And I usually alternate boots. If they get wet in the morning, I'll leave those ones out and wear another pair in the afternoon. Vice versa. So I tend to alternate.
The only thing for this year I've got is I've bought some summer weight Kuyu pants I want to try out.
We're back after a word from our sponsor.
Kuyu.
That'd be nice if QU decided to listen in and come and talk to us about all the equipment.
I've already invested a bit of money in their company.
I see. Twin Needle. So Twin Needle's the bino rig that I use. Provided a little bit of feedback. I think it's probably coincidental, but the one thing that we were talking about in our last episode was how everything is converged now into the mobile phone. All the bits of technology that we're using. And the one thing that I found about most of the chest rigs is whilst they might have a place for a mobile phone, they don't have a place front and center for the mobile phone. And I suggested that the mobile phone be inside the bino rig flap so that it's there when you open it. And it seems that that's what they now have.
Oh, actually, so okay.
It's a plastic sleeve on the inside, so when you open it, there's your maps, there's your messages, there's your everything. It's right there. It just opens and stops right there. I think it's such a great addition. Such a simple thing. If anyone else is making bino rigs, they should just make those as an add-on that people can Velcro in or do something. But they got some smart new product coming. Be interested to see what it looks like.
Because I'm using the Rhino pouch for my mobile phone. It works perfectly.
Yeah.
Because it's got
I tuck mine in with my binos. Just goes
So
in there.
I don't carry the rhino anymore. I've got the pouch safe for it, and it's similar length, and it's got a little elasticized retaining strap so you don't drop it, and it works perfect.
All right, moving on. We're going to talk about slam number 2. What do we call it? Operation Venison.
Operation Venison.
Operation Venison. It's been quite a while since we've come back from that, but we've kept it a bit quiet. Some of us have been, and I was off crook, couldn't talk about it. Jono couldn't talk about it. This is the time we get to talk about it. And the goings on that went on by my dodgy friend here. That's all right, we'll get to that. 2 very different blocks. So we talked about the slam that we put the videos out for, and it was quite a property with really good volumes of game. Except, even though there were lots of deer seen, not in easily shootable locations for Rowan anyway. Sorry, buddy. And this property that we went to next was a different property. It's a lot harder. Like it's
much harder.
It's a property that you need to really build a strategy around a hunt, I think. And because normally we say it's good enough for maybe 4 hunters working together, but because we broke our group of 4 into 2, we really had to work out half the property each and not overscent it, and be very careful about where we went so that we kept the property alive, I guess, for game over a 3 or 4 day period. And that's easy enough for me to explain, but trying to put that without having ever been there before, I explained that before we went. How did you find that in terms of a statement when you got to the ground and you figured out what we were hunting?
It was certainly a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. When you said the property's like a T, and you go down the middle, and when you come down, you're going to sense it up. I didn't think it would be that as tight as it was. And you didn't, when you were on the ground, especially that first morning, it was really foggy, and it sort of messed with your orientation a little bit. But we had the Zolio and we had the cookie crumb track going on, and we'd be sat overlooking this side of a gully or something like that, and I'd look at the Zolio, and Ian was only a couple hundred meters away, which that puts it into perspective when you can actually see, well, he's just literally a ridge over. So having the Zolio from a safety perspective was awesome, because I knew that, right, Ian's over there, we're not going to go that way, we've got to go this way. But it was certainly a very different block to the slam, the first slam video that we did. It was tough going. Like, it was a lot steeper. There's really, really thick gullies on that one, especially coming in. You got to go all the way down, and then the deer that we saw were either at the bottom or halfway up or 3/4 of the way up the other side. And yeah, it was certainly some big climbs getting out, especially with full packs. But it was tough hunting. It was a lot tougher than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, and to explain the T, if you think about a capital T, the hut was at the base of the capital T, so both teams had to walk through the stem and then go left or right. That's pretty much how it worked. But unlike, was it?
No, sound like the Batmobile.
It did. Unlike the first block we were up on the high plateau, and you could hunt the top quite easily. In fact, the majority of the property was around the top of the plateau that we started on, and you could commit to going down the gully, but you didn't have to. In fact, you could shoot across that gully, shoot down into that gully. Really, going into that gully was about recovery for a lot of the time, or trying to get up to the next spot. But this block, if you didn't commit to the gully within the first 20 minutes, you had nowhere to hunt. The T went down, straight down, and then you were in a creek line, and you had to go back up the other side. I've hunted that block quite a few times over the last few years, and we've always been lucky enough to have access to a Polaris, and we were able to leave the Polaris in the bottom of the gully. So, you could go off hunting, leave it in the base, don't scare everything off, and come back to that to carry your deer out. But unfortunately, Polaris got wrecked by somebody, and now the whole block is walking. And it's good. like it's good. It's a fair challenge. I think it makes you a little bit more selective about things that you're doing. But we had a competition on, and that was to shoot a palmated buck with palms, or a spiker, or a meat deer. Each one had its own point value, and we were just trying to do venison recovery as per the title, and it worked out really well. You guys got you guys were pretty successful early on.
Yeah, so the first morning, we saw. Well, we had to literally wait for that rain to stop. We arrived on the Thursday afternoon, and we had a slight break in the weather, and then we sort of climbed into the shed, and overnight it absolutely pissed it down with rain. I mean, literally torrential rain. We were sitting in the shearing shed, and the noise was just deafening inside the shed. None of us got any sleep. So we woke up in the morning and we looked at the forecast, and it was supposed to stop raining at about 9 o'clock, I think, somewhere around there. But it was a little bit earlier. I think it was about 7:30 when the rain finally stopped, but it got really, really foggy. But we headed out. We basically dropped down sort of to the bottom of that T, and right at the bottom of the gully, we found there was some regrowth from fire that had been through there, and we saw probably 20 or 25 fallow with some really, really nice bucks. We try to get a shot, or try to creep down to get a shot. But they actually went up over a ridge, and that wasn't on our property, so that was out of bounds. It was on the neighbour's property, so we couldn't follow them. So we crept down a little bit further, and all of a sudden, right at the bottom of that creek line that you mentioned, we just saw these deer start funneling in. And what had happened was the deer had gone over that ridge and actually just dropped down the back of it. So we hadn't spooked them. We must have spooked them, but they weren't scared off. We sort of crept down as far as we could go. We ran out of cover. As you know, there's tree line, and then there's nothing to the creek, and all the deer were hanging around the bottom. And it was probably about 160, 170 meters down to that creek line. And I told Henny to get ready for a shot, and the deer sort of were playing around, messing around, and started going up the opposite side, that really steep bank. Henny had a shot, but unfortunately missed. I ranged that it was about 175, so unfortunately he missed that, and the deer just got spooked by the shot and pissed off. But we sat there for a little while watching that hillside, and as you know, it's quite a big hill, and all of a sudden we spotted a couple of deer come across the hill, our right to left. So we thought, let's have a crack at them. We sort of went up to try and find them. We lost them. The wind was swirling around on the side of that hill face, so we decided, right, we'll go right up to the top of the hill. We went straight up, had a look around the top, came back down, did a big loop, and came back around. And as we were coming down, we actually, I stopped to film the waterfall, and trying to get some nice scenic photos. And I came around the corner, and Henny's waving and shouting, and he's like pointing down the hill. And I was like, just shoot. And Henny, he had a couple of shots. There was actually 3 deer bedded, which is the ones that we had seen earlier, the ones that we had gone up the hill to find.
The hill, and calls it a hill. It's a freaking steep mountain.
It's a mountain. Yeah. Oh, yeah. But Henny managed to shoot two of the 3. One ran off. He shot 2 of them. One was a nice palmated buck. The other one was just a sparker. And so, yeah, that was our first morning. We spent an hour or so butchering the deer. We tried to hang them up. We had a bit of a disastrous episode with some old paracord that just wouldn't hold the weight. And I've got that on video, which we'll share, where we're trying to strap this deer up in the tree, and the paracord just snaps. It was, Laurel and Heidi going on up on the side of that mountain. But eventually we got them gutted, got them packed out, or packed up, should I say. And then we had to go all the way back down to the bottom of the gully and then pack up all the way to camp. I took the main load, took an extra bag of meat, and started packing up, and left Henny behind. But I went and got the ute and came back and picked them up, and off we went. So that first morning was a real success for us. $2. So that was two animals down for us.
6
How did you go on that first morning?
First morning, 6 points.
First morning.
I can't even remember the first morning. It was a bit of a blur. What I do remember, we went down. So you're talking about the T. John and team went down the right-hand side of that T. There's a ridge in the middle, and we went down the left-hand side and started to cruise along the top side of the gully. And we were just looking for sign. We were looking for anything, to be honest with you, to start with. It was I guess a strategy for me was because it was so rainy and so foggy. I didn't want to go and burn the whole block. I decided to stay on the hut side of where we were and not cover a whole lot of ground because the fog just didn't want to lift. And as you know, fog does keep the deer out a little bit longer. But as soon as it gets later in the day, they're going back into bed regardless. So it was probably 10 o'clock, I reckon, by the time the fog lifted. And it was interesting. We didn't hear the gunshots at all, even though we were so close, which surprises me, but it's just the way it was. And the good sportsman that Jono was when we started this weekend, he flicked me a message on the Zolio to say, hey, we've just bumped a couple of bucks. They're coming up to you. I said, oh, what a nice fella. And that was the benefit, again, of having a device. It was the first time, wasn't it? It's the first time we'd used the devices to actually track each other on the map because we'd just turned the features on that allowed us to, every 6 minutes, I got a ping from Jono's one. I could see it on a map relative to where I was, which was just a game-changing feature for hunting a block like that. Because we were in such tight quarters, it was really good to know where each other were. But anyway, he said they were coming up, so we got in a good position and we didn't really see anything. So we ended our morning pretty quickly. I mean, we were out for a little while, but we went back for a reset to decide what we were going to do for the afternoon and into the evening. So that was pretty much us to start with. If we had gone down into the gully and back up the other side, I just feel like we would have centered it up and ruined it for the rest of the weekend. So it was worth leaving it. And I was sussing out a new hunter as well. I had Adam with me. Adam was lucky enough to draw the trip when we put it out on the socials for people that wanted to come along. I wasn't, it was a good chance for us to have a yarn and see what he was interested in doing and what his goals were. So, it was a good morning.
So this block, as you say, you kind of walk up the vertical on the tee, and then you kind of go left or right, and so you either go the left arm of the tee or the right. So how are you working the wind in that? Is the wind coming straight on head on to you? Because if it's going across the tee, one of you are facing the wrong way.
Yeah,
right.
Correct.
That is right. But the wind was quite swirly, so
yeah, it was
I don't think it would have really mattered. It would have confused the deer, and it was certainly going to confuse us. But there's two sides to that, right? So you're starting on the stem of the tee, and it goes down into the creek. When you hit the creek, you go left and right. When you get to the end of your respective arm, you go up and onto the plateau, and then you turn and face each other again. So at some point in time, you've got the wind, and at some point in time, you don't.
Yeah, so sometime you walking. Someone's going to be walking into it and walking. Yeah, that's it.
And there is a lot of feature. There's lots of knolls and little hills and little gullies, little treed areas. You can hide from that wind. You've just got to plan it and play it really well. And
as you said, the wind swirls. You'll be heading up this knoll, and the wind's in your face, and you get to the top of the knoll, and all of a sudden the wind blows up the backside and blows it away, because we had that on the second morning. So you really just had to play it by what was happening. And when you get to the base of the gully, you do have a little bit of space left or right before you start creeping over. So you do have some hillsides to play with. I mean, it's when we say hill, as Ian said, it is a mountain. It's pretty big.
It's a sheer 300 meters probably straight up.
Yeah.
Like if you were just to go straight up, and
vertical climb, yeah.
The majority of it is sheer like that. They've made a Polaris track that can zigzag up one of the saddles, and there's a reasonably steep track at the other end as well. So there is access up to it, but it's pretty gnarly. Yeah. So that afternoon, we all head off again. I can't remember what happened. I'm struggling to remember that far.
Yeah, I recall. So Henny and I had a huge pack out. We carried 2 animals out. We were pretty broken, so I just went back down the tee on the right hand side, and I stopped about halfway, overlooking a nice gully with a nice hillside, and I just sat under the tree. You actually went up the other side and waited around the back and on the top of that.
Yeah. So I went to all my usual spots. I always see deer here. I always see deer here, and poor old Adam's coming along with me, and I'm like, I shot a deer there, and I shot a deer there, and I shot a deer there, and all was great. Actually, on the way up the hill, I got to a spot where I said, I often see deer in this gully. The track goes off to the left. You can go up and over that side, and this big basin that's sitting in front of us, you'll often find deer bedded in here. I said, just take your time and go up. And he knew what he was doing in the end. He'd done a little bit of hunting before, so he was quite confident. And I went up and around. We lose sight of each other to start with. And as I come around and I catch sight of Adam, he's dead still looking in one direction. I'm like, oh, he's found deer. And I look up to where he's looking, and there's 4 or 5 does, probably 100 meters away from him, but they've got him pinned, completely pinned. There was no way he was getting a shot off without them busting him. And in usual fashion, I had my rifle strapped to my pack, and all I had was my camera. So it was click, 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 click. Bullets, pretending I'm shooting deer. But there was no way I could get a rifle off it, and off they went and up the hill. But the good thing was, I think Adam had said he'd shot a deer in his past, but it was, a long time ago, and it was, with a couple of mates on maybe driving a ute around a farm or something like that. He'd never actually gone and hunted them or found them in the wild. So that was his first experience actually locating and seeing deer in the wild, and you could tell he was pretty excited about it. It was really cool to see. But they went up and away, and we carried on around up the back where I thought that they were going to be heading, but there was no more deer to be seen for us that afternoon. And we were midwinter, expecting snow. But we decided to wait out the afternoon until the lights went out pretty much on the top of that hill with the blistering wind coming at us. So it was pretty brutal. But, it was good. It was a good experience. Test some character. And then unfortunately, there are 2 ways up that T, and I'd never walked up the second way, and that was the way we walked up. And man, oh man, it was so much further than I remember, and it was pretty soul destroying by the time we got back up in the cold. But it was a good session. It was good fun.
And it got cold at night, and we had some snow. We were tucked up warmly in bed with our electric blankets, but
a
bit of snow.
That was good. The next morning, this is where the controversy started, Jono.
Oh, no controversy, mate, at all.
Zolio tells the story.
Yeah, it does. It shows it on the map.
Well, so the next morning we head out. Henny and myself, we follow the same track that we followed down the right-hand side of that T. And the plan was to get down to the bottom where we had seen the deer the previous morning on that regrowth, in the hope that they were frequenting that area. We got down to that regrowth, and there was no deer to be seen. So we continued down to the bottom of that creek and to the tree where Henny had taken the shot from previous morning and missed, because it gave us a good vantage to sort of blast that hillside. So we went down and sat under that tree, and we just sat there for 5-10 minutes, and we spotted some deer. They started moving across that mountainside, and so we thought, right, let's have a crack at them. So we went down all the way down to the creek, and then started going up. As you said, it's that almost sheer face 300-meter vertical climb. We got about, I don't know, probably a fifth of the way up, following a game trail, and we knew where the deer were. We could see them. And then, that's when I said the wind was again swirling. It was in our face, then all of a sudden it was up our arse, and I heard the noise a fellow makes, that whistle, that bark, and off they went. They were gone. So we decided that we would go straight up, back up.
Trespass?
No trespassing at this point. And we decided we'd go straight back up. We'd go vertical, up the mountain to the top, to go have a look at the top. And the reason why we made that decision was because prior to heading out, we had a chat round in the shed about who was doing what that day. And Ian said that he was not going to go up there. And so we decided when we got up there, the wind was in our favor, that we would go round and circle up that way and come back and see if we could cut off those does that we had seen this morning. And we were probably about 100 meters, maybe 200 meters in, and I start getting pinged on the Zolio saying, "Oi, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Off my side of the property.
Get off my side." And I said, "Well, you said you weren't coming this way." And he goes, "We're going there this afternoon." I said, "Well, that's not what you said this morning."
We still had another day. I was leaving it unscented.
This was the last afternoon.
Oh, was it? We still had the next day to go.
We didn't.
Sunday.
This was
Late Sunday.
We went. We had Sunday morning. We were leaving Sunday, but you said you weren't going to go in there, so
Dirty,
we just
filthy poacher.
So, we got about 200 meters into your block, and I just getting pinged. What are you doing? Get out of my, get out. And so we conversed, and I said, well, you said you weren't coming here, and you said that's my block for the afternoon, and I said, right, that's not what you told us this morning, so we backed out. So that's the controversy. We got called poachers. We got called
everything under the sun.
Everything under the sun.
We penalised him 5 points for his effort.
Yeah, and who won still? So.
Oh well, don't give it away. Gosh.
So anyway, we backed out because obviously, look, we didn't intentionally go trespassing on your land. You said you weren't going to go in there, so we would
pair two South Africans together and say you can't cross a virtual line.
Anyway, so we crossed the line. I'm not going to deny that, but was it poaching?
Just like what's happening is right at the moment, isn't it? Like I'm just watching.
Thank you, Zolio. What was the hashtag? Zolio. Hashtag whatever it was. Zolio keeping South Africans honest since now.
So anyway, we did the right thing and we backed out. We went back around our block that had been fully censored up now because of the wind, and we didn't see anything else that morning. We headed back to camp, the long climb out, and you guys, I think, were back at camp by that point. You just hung around just in the top section, didn't you? Around underneath the house, I think you did that morning.
We went to suss out an undisturbed paddock. We went to recce out some stuff. The property owner had told us that there was a paddock that they hadn't had any cows on for the whole season, and it was being frequented by deer. So, desperate to make up for lost ground. We were 1 point behind at this time due to penalties. We were searching really, really hard for this spot. So we sussed that out just so that we knew where we were going to go back Sunday morning should we need to do so. So that was that plan. And there was a whole other side of the block that I hadn't really spent a lot of time on. So it was good to get to know that, which was good. That afternoon, though.
That afternoon, things got exciting.
Got really exciting, didn't it? So we went down our usual track. And it was a bit early in the afternoon, but there's this beautiful spot where you're sitting up on the ridge overlooking the gully, and the other side there's a creek junction and a gully intersection and all of these excellent bits of feature that, you think you just sit there and you'll just watch a beautiful mature buck wander down there and thrash a couple of things and carry on with his day. That's what we fully expected to see. We sat there, and I think this is where we started to realise again some of these extra features on the Zolio, that when you sit for a period of time, the marker changes colour.
Yellow, I think.
Like an amber colour.
It's yellow. It's like, okay, it's yellow because he's in the same spot for a while. So we sat there for a while having a chat, talking about, things that we'd seen there and whatever, and eventually gave up the spot and carried on. So mark that spot in your mind because it comes back in the story. So off we went, up and up and up the other side to try and find some deer. And as we got to the very, very top, the furthest most point from the hut, Adam spots some more deer, which was great, but they were on the other side of the fence. But still good for him to see it. It was a beautiful young buck in colour phase. So it had the dark chest and quite a white, not white, but mental coat behind his neck. And we just sat there with the binos and watched that for a little while. It was a good experience for him just to see them interacting, and he was able to pick out 2 or 3 others that were in the same gully at that point. They were facing our direction, and I knew at the top of that gully there was a water trough. So I was hoping that they would feed, jump the fence, go for a drink. Now, I've been sucked in by those deer before. I've sat there waiting for them to jump the fence and go to the water trough more than once, and just the same as the last ones, they never eventuated. So we sat up there in the cold for a bit, but decided instead of waiting for dark at that location, we'll start to head back and just stalk our way back along a few other places that we'd seen deer before. And as we're coming around the corner and starting to head back down to some of these spots, we got a message from Jono saying, I've shot a buck. So I'll let you take that over, Jono. So
yeah, that afternoon I headed back down the T, stuck stuck to my side on the right-hand side. Got down to the bottom, and this time, with permission, I will add, I headed to the left.
I was returning the favour of sending bucks our direction.
So anyway, I got to the creek line and I headed left. So basically, you headed left, and I was heading towards the track and the side of the block that Ian would come down. I found a spot that I thought looked pretty good. Had a look at the hillside, sat there for a couple of minutes, didn't feel right, moved a couple, 100 or 200 meters further to the left. Found an awesome spot, got set up, sat under the tree, and I just sat glassing this hillside, and I had this beautiful mountainside. Got the rangefinder out, ranged, a couple points to give myself some bearings and, what sort of distance if something popped out. And I just sat there, and it was literally on sunset. I saw two deer, two fallow popped out, and they ran from my left to right. And they sort of came running along. I got set up. I actually got out the bar pod, which interestingly, I've owned a Spartan bar pod for 2 or 3 years. This is the first time I've taken a shot off it, so it was pretty interesting. But anyway, I set the bipod up. I got the camera running.
Now you were you were on this face, shooting onto that face.
Correct.
How were you positioned?
It was tricky. So I actually had my KU pack, which I lay in front of me, and I had the bipod on top of the pack.
It must have been elevation. Weird.
Yeah, it was awkward, but that's how I got the elevation. Was I actually put the bipod on top of the pack to get that elevation? Because it was literally aiming down, and I was trying to shoot across the opposite face. So these bucks are running across. I took a shot, and I have it on camera, but I actually missed the first one. I shot over it. I think I definitely underestimated the distance, or the holdover for the distance. I thought it was a lot further. I was just caught up and didn't really understand the distance, but I sort of the bucks, because it was quite a long way. I think it was about 220 they were. They sort of got a little bit spooked, but ran off to the right and then started moving off back to the left. But they weren't that spooked. They were literally just ambling at a quick pace. Gave me enough time to get set up again. And I took a shot and I hit the back one. Beautiful buck. It was only a sparker, but still hit him. And I saw him tumble down the hill. And then he got up and sort of stumbled a few steps. But now this was past sunset. I literally had, minutes of sunlight. Well, not even sunlight, but just light left. So I raced down the gully, crossed the creek, started going up the other side. By this point, it was dark, and I was looking around, and I looked for about 25, 30 minutes all over this hillside, and I couldn't find the buck. Just couldn't find it. So I pinged you on the Zolio saying, that's when I pinged you saying buck was down. And you said, we're heading your way. Gonna come help you.
But I think you said buck down, need a hand, can't find it, something like that.
That's it.
All right,
correct.
Well, we'll abort. We'll come straight down and give you a hand. Which is where we were now stumbling down in the tiniest last bits of light, and right in front of us walk 5 or 6 does. So with minimal aid from the old Army Tech torch, we managed to drop one, and I put a round into a second, and it ran down the ridge down towards the creek. I went and sorted out the first one just as we were sort of I was just starting to get ready to butcher the first one, and Jono comes over the ridge. We could just see his lights going everywhere as he was looking for stuff. I just couldn't believe how far you'd travelled along the ridge side to get to us.
Well, I was looking, and you said you were on your way. So I kept on looking, and then I heard the shot, and I saw your headlights in the distance.
Yeah,
headlamps in the distance. So I walked towards those lights, but it was quite a way.
When we walked back, we were on the march for a good 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah,
solid pace to get back to where your buck we thought it might have been, or you thought it might have been. So to come along that steep ridge like that, that was a fair hike. But anyway, you got to us. You were pretty broken. Cooked up a brew.
Had a quick coffee.
Had a quick coffee, and then got into the butchery. And Adam, the good bastard that he was, I think I put a throwaway line out there saying, "Well, if you want it, you carry it." So he did the whole thing.
Whole carcass.
The whole thing. We took all of the bits off it that we didn't want to carry, and we put it in a big plastic bag and strapped it to his back, and off he went, the legend. and I just had to carry him a normal pack, so that was brilliant. I meant everything I said. I was going to give him the whole thing, so he was happy to carry. Had a quick look for the other one that went missing that we know we'd shot because we could see it, but we just couldn't find it in the failing light. So unfortunately, that left us with 1 point to 1 point and one lost, and Jono had one lost. So we were even Stevens to that. Oh no, yes. How does that work? Yeah, we were even.
No, we're even. We're even at that
there was
point.
some more controversy around shooting with light, but maybe wasn't.
I disagreed with that because
Well,
anyway.
we didn't stipulate the rules, but no, we didn't stipulate the rules. We'll let the punters decide. It did have a little bit of help from Army Tech torches.
Anyway,
not much.
So
anyway,
not much. Yeah.
Back
So
along to where you thought you were, and remember.
Yeah. So we cut back
on the track.
Yeah. So we. Yep. Absolutely. And we cut. So we went straight down from where we had gutted the one that you had shot. We went back down to the creek. We found the track, and we were walking back along the track to the point where I had taken the shot from, because obviously it's visible on the Zoleo. And we grabbed the torch and we're shining on the hillside and trying to work out exactly where I had shot from. And that's when we came to the realization that I had sat under the tree.
That we were sitting under earlier.
That they had been sitting literally just behind me, where they had sat that afternoon, where they had thought was a good spot. I had selected the same good spot. So I just had the patience to sit it out till sunset, and you decided to walk that mountain.
Yeah, good, eh?
But anyway, so what we did is we actually got the camera, because I actually recorded the first shot that I took, which was from the same position. I actually didn't record the shot itself, unfortunately, because I recorded the first shot and then they spooked, and I stopped the camera because I thought I was going to have to move. And then when I spotted them again, I just quickly went and shot. So I didn't actually push record again. But on the camera, I had the first shot and I knew where they ran for the second shot. So we used that as a visual of where the animal was standing when I took the shot, and then using the torches, we shot up on the hillside and actually got right. Well, there's the track going up. You see the cut. We worked out exactly where to look. I said, that's where I hit him. Let's go. And we said, don't go up into the tree line. It's just below the tree line. So we went down. We dropped our packs, everything. We went back up the other side and literally found the tree line that we said don't go past. And within, I think, maybe a minute or two, we found this buck curled up behind a tree. So there we had it. That was my buck, just a sparker, but a beautiful, beautiful animal.
It was, wasn't it? Good size.
Yeah, good size and beautiful skin. And on that, I actually got a message today from Adam saying that our skins are ready. So we dropped those off at Mario in Stanthorpe, and they're ready.
Someone that does skins, Mario. I only know as Mario. Find Mario in Stanthorpe. He's great.
Yeah, there's only one. There's only one.
Taxidermy in Stanthorpe. He's also, what else does he do? I've got this weird feeling he's an upholsterer. Might be wrong. Anyway, he's got some other.
So anyway,
he's one of the best when it comes to tanning skins. Very nice.
So I don't have a fallow skin, and this was such a beautiful skin with beautiful markings that I decided to get mine tanned. But I won't give it away. What happened next was we decided to just leave mine there. We dragged it down to the bottom of the creek line. We hung it from a tree. We gutted it and left it overnight to cool.
Got a marker pin.
Yeah, we dropped a marker pin. It drops below zero, so we knew we had beautiful cooling. Because there's no way we were going to. Well, Adam had one whole deer strapped to his pack, and we weren't about to pack this one out because I was pretty broken from climbing that hill. So the plan was we'll leave it hanging from a tree for the night and come back down in the morning, pack it out.
It was a good sized animal. It was a good sized animal.
It was a good sparker. Yeah, it was good. So that's what we did. We dragged him down. We strung him from a tree. Ian got himself nicely sliced by a piece of barbed wire.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was we hung it from a tree with a piece of old wire.
Yeah.
Didn't we? Yeah, we cut it. There was a piece of wire hanging around anyway. You had to improvise when you're trying to hang these things up. But yeah, I did slice myself open.
Meanwhile, my teammate was back at camp in his heated caravan, fast
A
asleep.
diesel heat pump and a hot water shower. God. Hey, Henny. Hope you're well.
Sent us a message saying, "What time you guys think you're going to be back?" And then I think we replied saying, "No idea. We're busy. We've got animals down." And he went straight back to sleep. So,
Yeah, well, no, it went. Jono's shot up. No, we've got animals down. We're about to start the walk. Right? Now, you can't get a car down to where we were. You can get a car down maybe 1/4 of the way to a gate, and that's where the farmer gave us permission to. So if at all possible, not having to walk that last quarter, and we're talking the last quarter of elevation and a reasonable amount of distance still to go, it's really nice to get a car. So it's like, we've shot an animal, we were about to start the walk up. Next message back from Henny was, all right, good night. My follow-up message was, can you meet us at the gate with the car? No response. We're like, oh, he's either going to be there or he's not. He wasn't. He's fast asleep in his diesel-heated caravan. Bloody Henny. Anyway, not his fault.
Oh, it's not his fault. So anyway, we Adam packed out that deer. We climbed up the hill. I think I left you guys behind, and I actually went back and got the car from camp.
You picked your round up the hill. Yep.
Yeah, and I think by the time we got back to the shed, it must have been what 9 o'clock.
Pretty beaten. You can't underestimate how steep it was, and because it was so muddy, you were getting quite a bit of slippage underfoot. So, when you're tired, you're already clumsy. Adding that sort of fun to it is excellent. So at that point in time, I'd shot a deer. We had to go back and get Jono's. So he was now 2v1. Controversially 2v1. But it was 2v1. And we still had to go back and pack it out. And the good bastard that I am, I volunteered to go down and help him out. Now, Adam, being the keen new young hunter that he was, he's like, I might get up in the morning and go for a hunt to that paddock that hasn't been chewed out yet. Coincidentally, the hunt prior, when we went and looked at that paddock, we did walk up on a deer on the dam in that little paddock. But I think that was the first deer that Adam had seen, and he was really keen to look at it. And the old raising the rifle thing didn't happen instinctively, so it disappeared down the back of the dam, but we knew the deer were coming up to it. So I think the first time I heard a rustle in the shearing shed that night was that door opening and closing really quietly as Adam snuck off into the morning darkness. And I was like, oh, Adam's gone hunting. I should stuff and go back to sleep. Got my electric blanket cuddled up around me. I'm not going anywhere. And then 20 minutes later, I realised I couldn't go back to sleep because I needed a wee. Got up to go for a wee, and my watch buzzed, and I looked down at my watch, and he's like, deer down. You legend. He snuck off on his own, and he shot himself a deer. So now, we're kind of 2 for 2, Jono.
Mm.
There wasn't another one shot after that, was there? So
No, there wasn't.
It's kind of like a tie.
It wasn't. It wasn't a tie.
And I didn't get the time to go back and look for the other one that we shot, unfortunately. So, anyway, we'll call it even. I think that's fair.
It wasn't even, mate. It was Team Steel won that one. We agreed the spotlighting was not fair.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Oh, well. We didn't call the rules out, but I'm a generous man.
So how many deer was that in the end? 4?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 recovered.
5 recovered.
1 unrecovered.
1 unrecovered.
So 3 for Team Steel and 2 for Team Hills.
Mm.
And we were told when we got there, lots of pigs. Like, give them
We saw a pig.
Pig.
I saw a pig.
Singular.
A pig. A pig. Singular.
Yeah, certainly weren't pigs like the other block.
So when Henny missed that first deer, literally the whole hillside just erupted. There were wallabies running that way. There was deer running that way, and then one singular pig running across the hill. So that was the only pig we saw. We heard goats. We did hear them.
We heard and smelt them. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Which, considering we were 20 k's from the other property that we hunted on a month prior.
Yeah.
Very different. Very different.
Yeah, for sure. But a great block. One I'm looking forward to going back to. This time we'll take a Polaris, which will be nice. It'll help us up the hill at the end of the night, keep us active. But yeah, good weekend. Looking forward to doing another one.
Mm.
Mm.
Yes. So, what's happened with the meat? Where is it? Processed sausages, chops, skins
So
are
I-
skins
so
are in,
as I said,
skins are in Stanthorpe with Mario. So what else has happened?
well, skins are with Mario. Adams has got. I actually saw a photo of it today. It's got a massive hole from the 300 Win Mag.
Certainly happened.
300 Win Mag and a young fellow buck don't mix very very well. There's a
No.
nice little exit wound on that one.
Can't patch that up.
So even Mario said I tried to sew it up, but I couldn't. There's only so much I can do. But no, I brought all the meat back. We packed out. We went and recovered Adam's deer. And then once we'd recovered it, we all
tried to carry it back to camp. He's a pretty
Oh,
keen
yeah.
dude. He tried to carry
Yeah.
it back to camp, and I think at some point in time he said deer down. And I thought, oh well, he'll be back soon.
Yeah.
But we didn't
Well,
do
you
anything.
thought he had taken his ute,
didn't take
but he
the
hadn't.
ute,
He
he
walked. No. So
Meanwhile,
I drove
he's
up
deciding
and
to pack it out again.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so he dragged it up from the paddock to the bottom of by the house. And I drove up and we went and picked it up, brought it back to camp, and I think we to the shed. We put it in the butchery room. We gutted it, and I think we left it hanging. And then the three of us walked down and went and got my deer. So we went and skinned it, butchered mine, and then we packed it out. Got back up to the shed, finished butchering the one that you had shot, and we butchered Adam's one. So all the meat was recovered. Penny took his too. We packed that one out. He spent the afternoon prior cutting up all his biltong pieces. So yeah, all the meat was recovered. My freezer's looking pretty good at the moment. Already had making some jerky and making some biltong, and yeah.
Just go back to Adam packing it out for a second. He packed it out whole, guts and all.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, because he hadn't been through the process. He hadn't done that himself. So because he didn't take the car, he's like, all right, well, I'm going to carry it. And he said, that's real hard work, man.
Yeah, well, there's a whole lot of extra that you don't need.
A lot of weight.
Well, I mean, yeah. There is.
I was very grateful when I rocked up with a ute.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, if you've made it to the end of the ramble and enjoyed the story, we'll be doing it again next year. Bound to be looking for another volunteer. So make yourself known. You never know what'll happen, but we're certainly going to be looking to drag a few more people along on some of these competition hunts next time. It'll be good fun.
So, what's the if we're thinking about, because obviously this is Operation Venison. So have you eaten any of this meat yet, other than jerked it and biltonged it?
Yep. I've made some steaks already. So yeah.
So what do we? So you shot all stags and all bucks, didn't you? Did you shoot only bucks?
What was yours? Yours was
John, specifically, did you only shoot bucks?
We only shot bucks. So Henny shot a palmated buck, a sparker, and I shot a sparker.
That's right. Yeah. So and then you shot one doe, lost another doe,
shot a button buck.
Okay. So they were all really good at eating
excellent
animals.
meat,
yeah. Oh yeah,
all
beautiful
really
condition.
In fact, you could argue that the bucks are probably the spiker bucks and button bucks are probably going to be tastier because you can age them pretty easy. They're antlers tell you how old they are.
Oh, look, and even the more mature buck was still probably only first head.
Okay,
so he was still pretty young.
Good meat animals.
Condition. Good fat on him, good condition.
That's the other thing. What was it? It was going to ask condition like. So good condition, good meat animals.
Yeah.
And very, very high number of
male
bucks. Huge, very unusual to have that many bucks on one property.
Were they bacheloring up, do you think?
They were definitely bacheloring up. Yep. But
the mob that I came across was matriarch with two other does with yearlings, and this button buck was the yearling.
Yeah.
So he was still hanging on to mum.
So yeah, that's right. He was really first year buck.
Yeah.
And the mob that mob that we saw on the first morning on that regrowth, there was probably 25 deer there. There were 2 huge bucks, massive bucks, and they were actually when we saw them again when they went down to the creek, they were actually fighting. So they were still messing around, but there were probably at least another 5 to 10 young bucks amongst that. So probably 10 does at the most amongst that. So they were definitely battering up. But yeah, 2 beautiful bucks. We just couldn't get a shot at them, unfortunately. That's what we wanted, was the big bucks, but we just
question without notice. Pretty interesting hunt. 3 solid days of hunting, bit of travel either side. Winter, harsh conditions, rain, sleet, snowy, blistery sort of stuff. How'd the gear go? Was there any specific bits of gear that didn't perform or did perform really well? Was there any call-outs there, or is it all just status quo? You've got your gear and it just worked?
Oh, I got my gear and it worked. I think probably the best piece of kit that I had was that Bush Edge rifle cover. Because it was pouring with rain on that first morning. It was so muddy and wet, and then that fog set in, and I wasn't shooting on that first morning. So I put my rifle in that Bush Edge cover and strapped it to my pack. And that kept my rifle nice and dry and didn't get any mud on it. That for me was probably a really, really key piece of kit for that trip. Otherwise, everything else was status quo, really. My go-to kit that I've got. You'll see it on the website. I use that on every hunt. So I actually carried Matika on this rifle. On this hunt. So it was so wet on the
question. I remember.
It sounded like you were setting me up there. No. So I took the Benelli, the Lupo, and I took Matika, which is my go-to rifle. It was so wet on that first morning that I didn't want to carry the Lupo because I didn't want to mess it up. It's too pretty to get wet and that the wood swell because it's a wood stock. It's too pretty for that. So I just carried Matika, which doesn't let me down. So yes, I'm yet to shoot an animal with the Benelli. It's the range. I've carried it, but I haven't shot an animal with it yet. So, but it was too pretty to. It's too pretty a rifle to get messed up.
Terrible.
Have you ever had a stock swell?
I have, yes. In South Africa, I had a wooden stock that swelled.
Was it made out of packing cardboard?
No, it was a. It was a pretty good rifle. It was actually a Krico German 308 that I got, but yes, it did swell with the humidity.
I've never had a timber stock swell.
Oh, look, and this Benelli is beautiful.
I've had timber stocks go mouldy.
Yeah,
in summertime.
I've had mold on it. Yeah,
especially the CZ. The CZ used to suffer from mold. That was the worst one for mold. But I've never had a timber stock.
That's swell. The rifle that timber stock that I had that had mold on it was a CZ. It was an old Bruno. That it was prior to becoming CZ was a Bruno 270 that I had, and that got mold on it. The Mark Rico stock did swell. But look, I mean, you look at.
I
don't think it would. I don't think it would. Like if you look at the quality of it, but I didn't want to get it. I didn't want to get it dirty and mess it up. It's too pretty.
But my takeaway was on the Slam 1 that we did. I had some real dramas with the not real dramas. I had some problems with light collection in the Eliminator, and I incorrectly blamed it on the Eliminator because I know it's got extra tech in it and extra panes of glass that has all the LEDs and things on it. And I just thought it was restricting some of the light because I had problems focusing on a deer like last light down in the shadows, and I had the sun dropping behind me, so that was all contributing to it. On this trip, I took the Lupo with the Eliminator on it again with the purpose of hunting with it for the morning session, and I had the BRX Steiner combo for the night, knowing that the Steiner is hellishly good in low light conditions. So that was the intent. But the location we were hunting had some pretty good long range options up on the top. I'm not first man shooting anyway. I'm just going to carry this one, with the Eliminator. And last light, we were doing some comparisons of the glass versus what Adam had, and he had a pretty good scope. I can't remember what it was now. What do I mean, Myopta? Anyway,
Myopta. Yeah.
And they're pretty well known for good light delivery. And we were comparing the two, and to my surprise, the Illuminator actually performed super well. And it just turned out it was just bad conditions, bad light drop, bad everything that were, making it difficult for me to focus on that animal. So it gave me a heap more confidence with using this thing in low light. And I've now had it out on the farm a couple of times, just having a look around in low light just to test things. And I'm pretty impressed with it. So I retract my thoughts that I didn't share with too many people. But yeah, it's pretty good. Other than that, no, wet weather gear is important. The cover for the rifle was super important, but everything worked really well.
Yeah, electric blankets. That's.
Oh, you gotta get one. Gotta get one, especially if you're going to a powered shed.
Don't have to lug your whole 12-volt battery that I do.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was a powered shed, so 240. So you didn't. Okay. Sure.
I don't have a wired electric blanket, so I carry my battery and my 12-volt electric
50 kilo
blanket.
AGM into.
That's just so much
pillow.
wrong with
I
that.
use it to power my fridge as well.
There's so much wrong with that. I don't know.
There's nothing wrong with that, mate. When it's freezing outside and you're nice and toasty in bed.
No, it's pretty good. Pretty good. Oh, excuse me. All right. This might call that a wrap. We got any wrap up comments, fellas? Go to the website. It'll be live now. That's Friday, isn't it, Jono? What time this comes out?
Friday, mate.
It'll be live now. Go to the website. Let us know what you think. Got some cool stuff up there.
I admire your confidence.
It'll be there. Jono, won't it?
It'll be there,
lots
mate.
of giveaways. Make sure you listen to understand what the giveaways are. Send us your success stories and pictures. Love seeing them. Really, really cool. And if you want to buy a lamb, Ian at hunterscampfire.net.
on the shop page.
On the shop page. Free blooded gear or just blooded gear.
Free blooded gear.
There's a lamb covered in blood.
I wouldn't do it.
Oh,
no, you'll see it. It'll be up there. All right, we'll call it.
Cool.
Okay.
Thanks, gents.
See ya.